Welcome to HodderPod, the books podcast from Hodder and Stoughton. How do we learn? Can learning really be fun? Michael Rosen explores how to be your child's and your own best teacher in his new book, Good Ideas.
How to help with homework when you don't know much about it. I've often had the experience of my children asking me to help them with homework which I knew very little or nothing about. So a child might say to you, "I'm stuck with these chemical equations." One of the odd things about being a parent is that we keep thinking we have to know everything. After all, if we don't keep proving to our children we know everything, they'll run wild, not respect us, and the family will fall apart. Or not. Another way of thinking about it is to say to yourself, I don't know everything. I certainly don't know about chemical equations, but I do know how to find out things when I don't know about them. This might also work for my child. So when one of my children comes to me with something that I don't remember from school or never knew, or if I did know it, it's all changed, I do this. First of all, I say, can you explain to me what you have to do? Can you explain to me which bit of it you don't understand? Then I say, were you shown how to do this by the teacher? Were you given a piece of paper or a book or a website where it's explained? Can you repeat anything of what the teacher said? Or if it was on a worksheet or on a website, can we look at it together? Then we try to see if there is a website where they may explain how this thing works. Tip, quite often I found that the best ones are American. Now here's the key point. You don't have to understand all this stuff yourself. All you have to do is to help your child take it step by step. And, most importantly, ask your child to try to explain it to you as they're trying to get it. This means that they're putting the process, whatever it is, into their own words. Also, without you knowing, you might be raising questions and problems that will help them understand the whole thing more. I repeat, you don't have to be able to do whatever it is, chemical equations say, as well as them. You are the bridge over which they will travel to get to being able to do them. So, chemical equations are something your child may have to do somewhere around the second year of secondary school. If you've not done much arithmetics in school and no chemistry, then they can seem like gobbledygook. They turn out to be not gobbledygook if you sit with a child who's been told some stuff about it by a teacher and who has, say, a few notes on it. Then, as and when you start looking things up, the gobbledygookness starts to slip away. Things start to make sense. What's really exciting is that there often comes a moment when your child gets it before you do, or more than you do. What you're offering is the support of listening to them, trying to explain what the difficulty is, and trying to explain how to do it. You're offering them the importance of sticking with it, of going back to what you were told or given by way of explanation. You're offering them what's available out there that enables all of us to find out and learn things. This is offering them some strategies of what to do any time and every time it seems as if they can't get it. There are also some basic principles that you can return to. Usually, in difficult homework, there are stages in the work. That is, you can only do the second part when you've sorted the first part. It's the furniture self-assembly principle. One of the key things you can show your children is that a good deal of the kinds of problems they set in homework involve exactly the same method. Only move on to the next stage when you've sorted the stage that comes before it. If it's science or technology and there are procedures or methods that are rules, then you must stick with these. So, this needs a good internet connection. It needs loads of scrap paper and pencils. You need to feel free to play with putting in different search words into Google. The keywords will probably be in the title of the homework, or in one or some of the technical words of the work. Not only are there websites that help with these things, there are also people on YouTube explaining them. Some of these are very good. Now, flip all this over and think what happens when your child comes to you with something that you do know about. The strong temptation is to start lecturing. And in a matter of moments you can see that your child isn't listening or is getting cross with you. Either way, more often than not, lecturing doesn't work. That is because, as we know, there's a huge difference between knowing something and being able to explain it. In fact, there's not only a difference, it's really hard to figure out what the difference is. The way to unravel this knot is to go back to how you act when you don't know something. If you do what I suggest, going through stages and questions, then you can do something very similar even though you do know the answers. This means holding back from jumping in. You wait for your child to come up with words of their own. You wait for your child to come up with questions. Then instead of immediately answering those questions, you can say, "Can you answer that question yourself?" And you can look for places where there are answers other than from yourself. What's really useful or interesting to offer may well come later. Let's say your child gets it and it's sorted. At that moment, you can offer an observation or thought that is a slightly different view of it. At first, this might seem like messing everything up, or that it will wreck everything that's just been learnt. In fact, if you do this, what you offer is something very important about knowledge and learning as a whole. There is never one fixed way. This means that knowledge and learning is something you can always ask questions about. Nothing gets wrapped up and put away forever. What's more, if you raise these alternative ways of looking at things, you suggest to your child that they can do exactly the same. In saying this, I'm reminded that this is what my parents did for me. I had the repeated experience of thinking that I knew something, that it was all settled no matter what it was, whether in grammar, history, French or maths, and my father or mother would show me that there was another way of looking at it. I remember having to do an essay called "Why Chartism Failed." I had my notes from the lesson. I had the piece in my history textbook that said, "Why Chartism Failed." All I wanted from my father was some help with my opening paragraph. "The essay is Why Chartism Failed," I said. "Failed?" he said. "Chartism didn't fail." And then he went through all the things that the Chartists called for and which we now all live by and take for granted. In that one moment he showed me that history is not a matter of learning stuff, it's being able to debate stuff, and in the debating, you learn the stuff.
Good Ideas by Michael Rosen is out now in hardback, ebook and audiobook, published by John Murray.